Welcome home. I'm Dr. Thema, a minister, licensed psychologist, and sacred artist, and this is Homecoming, a podcast to facilitate your journey home to yourself. While I will provide weekly inspiration and mental health tips, this podcast is not a substitute for therapy. I'm so excited you're on the journey. If you want to request specific topics or share your progress, email me at homecomingpodcast@gmail.com. Also, after you listen, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Let's begin.
Welcome home, Sojourners. I am so glad that you're here and excited that we have a poetry submission for today. If you have written a poem about your homecoming journey, please send it to me at homecomingpodcast@gmail.com. Today we have a piece by Denise Bozart or Denise Bozarte, and the piece is called Joy and Wonder. After years of dissociation from my body and keeping myself separate from the world, I picked up a camera. It made me slow down and start seeing the beauty and ugliness, just words, but ones I had used on myself. I kept at a distance as it had proven too dangerous a place. The macro of the camera brought things close, let the images slide past my barriers and flow into my heart to kindle what I had forgotten, wonder and joy. Thank you so much, Denise. What a beautiful piece about the use of art in healing and engaging with photography or other forms of art, using poetry, music, dance in order to reconnect with ourselves and with the world around us. And one of your lines in particular connects with today's theme. You say that picking up the camera made you slow down and start seeing. Slow down and start seeing. And so our theme for today is cultivating patience. Cultivating patience, building up our patience. And this topic was came from several requests that you all have shared with me through your emails and your messages, talking about the delays and the difficulty dealing with delays in life. That there are some things, some promises, some opportunities, some possibilities that you know you are capable of, that you know you are desiring, but we're dealing with the meantime, the time between vision and manifestation, the time between dreams and actualization, the time between the fantasy and the hope, and the realization of our dreams, our goals, our hopes, our possibility. And so that requires patience. And it is very challenging to really occupy the place we are in life when, in a lot of ways, we are unsettled because we are clear we're not supposed to settle. And we know that this period I'm in is an in between time. It is a transition time. It is a time of pause, but I did not choose the pause, right? The pause chose me, or life has taken more time to unfold than I hoped, dreamed, or imagined. And so I am here for those of you who have felt frustrated. And it is very hard being a frustrated dreamer. It's very difficult being a frustrated visionary. It is challenging to have gifts that are not utilized, to have an intellect and a mind that is not maximized by your current circumstance. It is challenging, really, in all areas of life, wherever the delays may be showing up. And I know some of you are experiencing delays in terms of your professional career, your vocational goals may be taking some time. Some of you are experiencing delays in the area of love and relationship. Some are experiencing delays in wanting to be a parent and facing challenges with that, whether that is around fertility or not finding a partner, various roadblocks and barriers. And then some of you may be facing delays when it comes to academic goals that you hoped to be finished school by now, but the semesters keep going, and perhaps the finances are challenging, the coursework is challenging, and then some of us are not where you hope to be spiritually or emotionally, that it may not even be about an outward sign or an outward growth, but where you are in your heart and your mind and your spirit, and even with your homecoming. And so I really am giving and sending a lot of compassion for the frustrated dreamers. I am sending a lot of compassion and understanding for those who look over your life and it's not where you wanted it to be, where you worked for it to be, where you hoped it would be. And the need for patience is so important because when I am impatient, a lot of difficulty, drama, loss, even tragedy can happen. When I am impatient around my career goals or my academic goals, I can either try to grab hold of something that is available but that is not in alignment with my purpose, or I can try to cut corners and in the cutting corners really sabotage my possibility. And when we become impatient, we can also give up because for some, you have been working and waiting for a long time. And so sometimes it seems reasonable to just say, well, this is never going to happen for me. So I should just surrender. And I get that. You know, another danger around impatience can be around with relationships. And I posted recently this week about there being a difference between something being good enough and it actually being good. So sometimes when we are tired of waiting, we settle for good enough, and a situation or a relationship is actually not good. But we say, well, I rather have this piece of something than nothing at all. And so I invite you to consider, what has impatience cost you? And this is a judgment free zone, and all of us have been there. You know, we can reflect on some choices we made, some decisions that were guided by our impatience, that sometimes we landed in some pits that we were clear were a pit, but we jumped in because we were tired of waiting for what was really good to our souls, what was really good for our minds, our bodies, our hearts. And so we want to consider what it has cost us so that we can be motivated to cultivate patience. And I intentionally use the word cultivate, which is to grow it, to nurture it, to nourish it, to be intentional about it. And the reason I chose that word is some of us will resign ourselves to saying, I'm just not patient, as if there's nothing we can do about it, right? That will say, well, some people are just patient and I'm just not patient. So then I just have to suffer the consequences of that. And I really want to encourage you to approach your mental health from a vantage point of empowerment. That while there are some conditions that people have to learn to live with, the reality is patience is something that you can develop, something you can work on, something you can build and enhance. It is a life skill. And in some spiritual traditions, it is a virtue, it is a value, it is a fruit or a representation of your spiritual walk. That as I feed and nourish my spirit, then I can show up in the in between time with the delays, recognizing the delays are not my choosing, right? If I could do it another way, this is not what I would have chosen, but it becomes more bearable, that you can get a sense of peace in the meantime, and an awareness and a trust that my present moment is not the end of my story, that my current condition and circumstance are not the defining mark of my life. It is simply where I am in this season. And so, some of us, I mentioned, have impatience around our goals. And then some of us also have impatience as it relates to people. And I know that some people in your life may be very difficult to deal with. And guess what? One of the surprising things is some people might actually find some of us difficult people to deal with. And it is a gift of emotional intelligence to be able to have empathy, awareness, compassion, and the skills to deal with people, relate to people, not just deal with, right? But to relate to people who, in and of themselves, can be very frustrating for us. And so we want to examine what is it about a particular person, about the way that they are, that we find particularly frustrating. And sometimes it is that they remind us of an aspect of ourselves. Sometimes they remind us of other people who we have had negative interactions with in the past. Sometimes it's because what they're doing is very problematic. And so I am not saying that you need to extend all of your time to be in places with difficult people, but as a matter of life, as a part of life, we will have those exchanges, whether they are in your family, whether they are coworkers, whether they are neighbors. And as I said before, even if it's you, even if you are the difficult person, to be able to have patience, not only with others, but being patient with myself, huh? Now that's a key one. Being patient with myself, and then being patient with the process, that things take time and they develop over time. And so, for me to allow for the unfolding, sometimes we have a dream and a hope, and we want it to have happened like yesterday. And many times we have created these timelines, or, these goals of when we wanted everything to happen, right? By 20, by 25, by 30, by 35, even by 40, 45. And here you are, right? And some things on your hope list have been accomplished, and some things did not work out. Some things have not yet manifested. And so, dealing with the unfolding of time is also a challenge. Now, a benefit to developing my patience is I can have more emotional balance and inner peace as I am walking through things out, as I am on this journey, that I will not be easily triggered or dismantled, even though it's frustrating, right? Even though it's frustrating, and I don't want to have to wait, and I don't like the delays, but I develop the capacity and the compassion to settle my spirit, right? To calm my spirit, even as the outside does not match my vision. And as we learn how to do that, it helps us when the delays or the difficulties happen. And so I want to give you a couple of strategies as we think about cultivating your patience and dealing with the delays. And one of the first ones is for you to think about this period as a preparation period, right? That sometimes we think time is wasted, and I want you to know it's not wasted. That there are things that you are learning in this season, things that you are experiencing in this season that will enhance your ability to flow once you get into the position that you have been working for, hoping for, praying for. And so to be in this season, not shut down and just waiting to launch. But if we think about this season as your pre launch, however old you are, right? You can be in pre launch at 45, right? However old or whatever your age is. If I think about let this season make me more ready, how can this season teach me some things about myself? Teach me some things about how to work with people, teach me some things about the journey that will enhance me when the door does open. And so this does not have to be wasted time or wasted years. This can really be your preparation period that cultivates your strength, that builds on your strength. And so, what are the things within yourself that you would like to develop that you know when you get into that position or possibility, right? When you get that job title, or when you get your partner, or when you become a parent, or whatever the vision is, the dream is, that when that happens, there are some things about me that I want to develop so that I will not be a one hit wonder, so that I will not launch and then fade or self destruct. And we have seen this happen, right? Where people are wanting something so badly, and then when it comes, it is destructive or it gets sabotaged because sometimes we have not really been able to be equipped and prepared. And so, what are you learning about yourself emotionally, financially, even politically and spiritually, for this to be, for you to be good soil, right? For you to be good ground, good earth, so that when your harvest comes, it can be plentiful and it can be impactful, right? You can have significant impact because guess what? There are some things that you know now that you didn't know 5 years ago, that you didn't know 10 years ago. That if the door opened back then, you would not be the person that you are now. And so to really appreciate this preparation period. And then I would invite you to shift your perspective so that this time actually counts, right? Some of us are not thinking that life is really happening until I have everything that's in my vision. And so then your perspective is that this is dead time, this is wasted time, this is kind of I'm in hibernation, right? Or shut down, or I'm just mad. And what if I could shift my perspective to think about this as prime time, right? This season is ripe, right? This season is rich. That it's not just, oh, everything will flourish when I get on the other side of this, right? But on this mountain, in this valley, in this storm, in this challenge, can I see the gift of this moment, right? And I'm not saying that we need to make every difficulty sunshine, but what I am saying is that there is a gift in the present, in the present. And so I will not wait for all of my dreams to come true for me to have a fulfilling life, right? That as I am in process, as I am on this journey, as my life is unfolding, that I live fully in this, right? In this moment where I am right now, instead of the gaze always yearning forward, right? Always stretching, reaching, pressing for beyond. And that can cause us to miss what we have in this present moment. And so I invite you to shift perspectives of what if this year was actually not a waste? What if this year was actually uh, not just a wilderness? It may have been a wilderness, and for many people it has been, but that I want to pull the wisdom out of this, the gifts out of this, the compassion that showed up for me out of this, right? The blessing that showed up for me out of this, even in this season, right? And so we think about the gift of preparation is one, and the gratitude for my preparation period. Because I can tell you, for me, I'm glad some doors didn't open before I was ready. Right. I'm so glad. And of course, at the moment, I thought I was ready. Right. I thought it was time and past time. And then in perspective, as we live and grow, I can also see how some of the very challenging periods of my life prepared me, equipped me, informed me for what I am doing now, right? That in a lot of ways, going through all of that, including the waiting, including the delays, has given me an appreciation and an understanding that I would not have had if everything came to me instantly, right? If everything came to me instantly. And then, along with preparation period and shifting our perspective, I invite you to also uh, pivot from any things that you are doing that are prolonging the delays, right? And there are different reasons why delays can happen, right? Delays can happen as a result of oppression and discrimination. And so people not giving you opportunity, them not believing you're capable. Delays can happen from my vantage point, also from a spiritual perspective. That there can be some spiritual delays or some needing to wait, right? Uh, and delays can also happen because we can sometimes stand on our own wings. And I wonder if we are honest today, if we can admit to ourselves that some of the delays I have faced in life, I had a hand in. I had a hand in some of those delays. And so if I am tired of waiting, for me to be really introspective, really reflective, to make sure that there is nothing in the way that I am operating, thinking, behaving that is contributing to the frustration and the delay, right? And so to really reflect, um, it's one thing for me to be held up from factors and forces outside of me, right, that I have no control over. And that definitely happens. And I also want to check in to see, are there any ways that I have been delaying myself, perhaps out of fear, perhaps out of insecurity, um, perhaps out of unknowing, a lack of knowledge, right? I don't know what to do or how I am supposed to do it. And so if I pivot meaning shift, change, away from the things within myself that are prolonging my delays, then I can begin to flow into the gifts, the possibility, the positions that may be available to me and for me. And so we have preparation, we have shifting our perspective, we have pivoting from the ways in which we are creating our own delays. And here is the gift as well, compassion, compassion for myself, because sometimes I am frustrated with me because I'm judging myself so harshly, and I am comparing myself to some ideal, or comparing myself to other people, or comparing myself to the fantasy I had in my head of how my life was supposed to be at this point. And so as I come home to myself, I show up with so much compassion for me, or how hard it has been to deal with the delays, to deal with the waiting, to deal with the frustration. So I give myself compassion, which is in fact patience, that I turn that inward. Many times we're focused on being patient with external outcomes or being patient with other people. But can I be patient with myself? Can I give myself a lot of grace and a lot of love? You know, sometimes we think the only thing we're deserving of is what we call quote unquote tough love. But sometimes tough love or being harsh with ourselves is actually more draining. It can be more destructive. It can make us feel more insecure, more incapable. And so let's consider a different approach. Let's consider a different approach. If I extend kindness to myself, of one, it is incredible how far you have come already. Sometimes we can't see our progress because we're so busy looking at where we want it to be by now. But a part of my patience is being able to see and celebrate what I have already done. And so for us to really turn that gaze inward instead of the hurdles that I have yet to cross, can you just give yourself sacred pause to look back and reflect on these hurdles you have already jumped over? And I'm not just talking about hurdles this year. I'm talking about what you got through when you were 5 and 6, what you got through, jumped over, or crawled under when you were 12 and 16, right? What you made it through at 21, 22. There are some hurdles that you landed on the other side of, perhaps with some bruises on your knees and elbows, bruises on your soul and heart, but you have come through some things. And so I can have more patience with myself as I look forward if I allow myself to look back and see how far I have already come. I wonder if instead of being harsh with ourselves and impatient with ourselves, if you could just say to your inner child, well done, right? It's not perfect, but well done. I'm not everywhere I want to be. I'm not everything I want to be, but well done with everything that you had to carry and to overcome. Well done. So I can be patient with myself and compassionate with myself, and to release either or thinking. So we call that dichotomous thinking or black and white thinking, where either I am a complete success or I'm a complete failure, right? That's either or thinking. So with that idea, like everything has to be a 10 out of 10, or I am nothing, and then I'm frustrated and mad at myself. But we can hold the duality, meaning there can be more than one thing occurring at the same time. We call it even a dialectic. Things that may seem like a contradiction can be true at the same time. And so when I hold that they are layers of truth happening simultaneously, then I can say to myself, um, I have not gotten to where I know I want to be and where I know I can be. And I appreciate myself for how far I have come, right? Can you give yourself permission to hold both truths, and that being fuel and nourishment for the journey forward? The last thing I want to mention around patience is really being able to remember the vision and why the vision is important. Because if it is taking a long time, and I know for some of you listening, it has been a long time, and I get that. So I want you to know I get that not just because I read it or studied it or researched it. I get that from living it, that some things have taken much, much longer than we hoped or expected. And the thing that keeps me from giving up is when I can have the picture in my mind about when the vision manifests, right? When that fully unfolds, how important, how beautiful, how beneficial, how impactful that will be, right? And so that can give us the strength to be able to continue in the journey, in the process, in the growth, in the unfolding, and in the waiting, and in the waiting. So I know you're working toward it, and for some of you, you're praying for it, but there is also a waiting involved because there are some aspects of it that are beyond you, but you just keep doing your internal work and also your external strategy. So I hope you all are also thinking strategically about, how I move forward toward the vision, the dream, the goal, the possibility. And as I am cultivating that space, I do it with uh, breath and with the inner peace of knowing while this is a goal of mine, I am actually already complete, right? That within me, that those things, right? These things are important to me, but they are not the sum total of my worth. Because when I believe they're the sum total of my worth, until they manifest, then I am unworthy, right? Until they manifest, then I cannot see the good in me. So I invite you to consider the beauty and significance of what you're wanting, hoping, and dreaming, and at the same time, to validate, appreciate, celebrate yourself, to recognize the beauty and importance of the goals, the aims, the dreams that you have, and to hold on to the truth that as I am waiting, I can still glory in the sacredness, the specialness, the uniquity uh, of my own being, right? My own being. And I see you. I see you in your waiting period. And I see that it is frustrating and challenging. And I invite you to take the large lens, to step back, to zoom back, and see that this is really a season in a larger unfolding. And so we have grace for this season, compassion for this season, as we hold on to hope and faith for what will be. I invite your soul to tell your heart, mind, body, and spirit, welcome home.